Welcome and thanks for joining today's session on Ask the Expert. In today's session, we're going to be diving into bridging the gap between HR and facilities to boost the employee workplace experience. My name is Ben Pearson. I'm our Vice President of Product Marketing here at Volo Technologies. And we're also awarded ServiceNow's Global Application Development Partner of the Year just this last week at Knowledge. One thing before we get started, there is the ability to post questions as we progress through the session today. There's two different methods. If you came in via ServiceNow's community, you can post your questions there. If you came in via YouTube, you can post your questions on that. We will be moderating that throughout the session. And if time permits at the end, we'll be answering questions as they come in. So I want to first talk a little bit about Nivolo and what we are and how we're built on the ServiceNow platform before we actually diving into that HR and facility story. So when we look at the ServiceNow platform, ServiceNow offers a number of applications: IT, security operations, customer service, human resources, which we're going to talk about today. And then Nivolo is a scoped application designed for facilities. And that allows that facilities organization to also operate in the application within ServiceNow. Now, Nivolo is built and leverages the core capabilities of ServiceNow, everything from the same CMDB to the self-service portal to the reporting and analytics and other areas, to also the infrastructure that ServiceNow provides for that security, that scalability. And that's where Nivolo got its start. It's why we're built on the ServiceNow platform. It allows for that single system of engagement across the enterprise. When we were out at Knowledge this last year with ServiceNow, we heard specifically around that employee experience is what really ServiceNow is focused on. And when you think about that employee experience, it's everything from working within an environment to being onboarded, moved within an organization. If you think about the pillars that exist within ServiceNow, I mentioned earlier, you have IT service management, you have HR service management for things like case management and enterprise onboarding, which we'll dive into more in this session. But then you have workplace service management, everything from that facilities work and maintenance management to space management that we're going to demonstrate today, to other areas of your facilities business, along with other applications that you can build on top of ServiceNow. In the end, the goal is giving that employee experience a single experience, a modern experience with mobile, with self-service, that really drives that overall better user experience for the enterprise. I'll share a little bit about the ServiceNow and Nivolo relationship. It's a really strong relationship. ServiceNow first is an investor in Nivolo. ServiceNow is also our platform partner, and we're certified on ServiceNow as a gold technology partner. Third, ServiceNow is one of our customers. ServiceNow actually implemented Nivolo for space and move management across the enterprise. What you're going to see today is actually a capability even ServiceNow leverages internally for onboarding their employees. As a new employee joins ServiceNow, they're actually using both the ServiceNow platform and Nivolo to manage where that person sits within the organization, manage those moves across the organization. Robert Teed, who's ServiceNow's Vice President of Real Estate and Workplace Services, chose Nivolo to run his facilities organization there at ServiceNow. So let's talk a little bit about now the story of bridging HR and Nivolo facilities together and why it matters. Why does it matter that we're bringing these two organizations together and driving really process automation and a single experience across both organizations? First thing I want to dive into is that employee job change frequency and just how fast it's accelerating as younger generations are coming into the workplace. When we look at the far left-hand bar, you're looking at people of the age 55 to 64 years older. Now, this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics back in September of last year. Every 10 years, they're actually changing jobs on average. If they're a person's 25 to 34 years old, they're changing jobs every 3 years on average. And keep in mind, we did take out some of the data in terms of the folks that are working at fast food restaurants and other things. So these are people that are 25 to 34 years of age or older that also have a college degree. So college degreed individuals, young individuals, they're still turning over at around 3 to 4 years. So you think about that movement of employees just because of that newer generation, the younger generation joining the workforce. They're changing a lot, which is driving a lot of movement within organizations, requiring that HR to facilities level of effort and engagement as people join, as people move, and as people leave the organization. The next thing I'll bring up is one of our customers actually shared some of this data with us. And this was a Texas-based hospital, and they talked about their onboarding process. And that onboarding process before Nivolo actually involved 9 different individuals. And every customer I speak with, they share that there's a lot of people involved in an onboarding process of a new employee. Everything from getting them a computer, getting them a badge, having their phone or PBX hooked up, getting them a nameplate put on their office or cubicle, getting Active Directory set up so they actually have an account that they can log in with, making sure that if there's a move person that actually has to physically get their office or location set up. In a lot of cases, there's a vendor involved in getting some of that set up. They have to bring in a third-party vendor from facilities to configure that office or that location. Custodial services may get brought in from facilities to clean and make sure that that room is prepared for that onboarding of that new employee. And then lastly, but not least, HR obviously is involved in that entire life cycle, making sure that from that offer letter all the way through the hiring process, that that employee has a great experience. So 9 people, 9 touches, and a lot of organizations, it's a paper, email, phone call handoff between all of these groups. And what we want to see is the merging of these groups into a single ServiceNow platform to be able to manage that entire life cycle of a new employee joining the organization or moving within the organization. Getting onboarding right, it really is all about reducing turnover, right? So because the goal for me is to make that a new hire, that new employee experience as good as it possibly can be. Because what we're seeing is, or on average, this is from SHRM, we actually had statistics on 1/3 of all new hires leave just after 6 months. And a lot of that is due to their onboarding experience. And up to 20% of turnover happens within the first 45 days of employment. So it happens right away. And then 69% of employees that were surveyed, they say that they're likely to stay for more than 3 years if they experience a great onboarding, a great onboarding process. Right? So did I have to wait for my office to be set up or get a location assigned? Did I have my PC on the first day? Did I have my badge and the access that I needed? All right. So was all the facilities in order? So those are all the things that we think about when how do we make that experience great for that employee as they're joining the organization. Not only is there a lot of work involved, right, and a lot of process involved in hiring and bringing on a new employee, but movement and churn within an organization is expensive and it's common. So if we look at that annual employee churn, on average, every employee within an organization, you guys can think about your own jobs. I look back to my career, and on average, 45% of a company, so almost half a company, moves locations every year. And I know I moved, when I worked 10 years in aerospace and defense, I moved almost every year to a new location. And moving is expensive. On average, the cost to move a person is around $421 just to move somebody from one desk, one cubicle, one office to another location, because I have to hire third-party services. I have to update, location data. I have to, make sure that everything is set up and prepared and now up to date as someone moves to that new location. So that's what we think about when we're looking at that cost, and how do we help improve that cost or reduce that cost overall when we think about that cost to move a single person within an organization. So how much does it cost to have someone sitting in a desk within an office? On average, it's $15,000 to $21,000, every year to have someone sitting in a desk or an office within an organization. And think about, and this first 15,000 actually came from one of our high tech facilities customers. And so it's a real statistic, and the 21,000 is a number we were able to calculate based on the total office cost survey back in 2009 and adjusted for inflation. But it's expensive. Office space is expensive, and it adds up. And just think, if you look at every underutilized seat, this is a quote we got from one of our customers, every underutilized seat in their company costs $15,000 a year. So you think about every seat that's sitting open within an organization that's not used or not fully allocated to the organization is still costing you money. And that's a fully burdened cost. That covers the cost of the facilities, the maintenance of that facilities, the landlord, the maintenance costs, the electricity, all of that adds up to $15,000 on average for a single seat. So anyway, there's a lot of costs when you think about that space within an organization. So when we think about that utilization of space, less than 12% of enterprises have 80% or higher occupancy rates. So what that means is that most organizations are literally wasting that space. It's sitting empty. That $15,000 a seat we just talked about is literally, think about the math on that, of if you take that percentage, that 20% of that space is sitting empty within an organization. That 20% equals a lot of cost within an organization. And if you look at these statistics, you can see the majority, so 70 to 79%, surveyed, or 60 to 69% of occupancy, the largest volume of people that responded said they're only using around 60, in some cases 50% of their space. The rest of that 50% is sitting empty and not being utilized. So that's a lot of cost that's going underutilized and underserved within an organization. It's really important because it's a massive cost. Facilities is typically one of the #1 costs in an organization. So if we can help maximize that facilities investment, maximize that space usage, that's really important in terms of saving real hard dollars for an organization. So let's talk a little bit about tracking that utilization. 2/3 of enterprises that track utilization, they do it visually. And what that means is they're physically walking around with spreadsheets. ServiceNow themselves did this prior to Nivolo. They'd walk around and do space surveys. They'd physically write down who's sitting in what cubicles and offices, where do people sit, and actually writing the names on a AutoCAD printout, and then updating a spreadsheet with where people are actually located and where are they sitting. But you look at these tracking methods, visual observation is sending someone around physically to go ahead and document how is that space being utilized. There are some more modern tracking methods like wearables, badge access that companies are looking at or already implementing for tracking utilization, and other methods like Wi-Fi sensors and then other. So you can still see, again, 34% don't even track their utilization at all. They don't even know what their utilization is for an organization. And you think about the cost I just mentioned earlier, that $15,000 a seat, that really adds up, especially if you're only using 50% of that utilization. Even fewer track all enterprise spaces. So I'm specifically previously was referring to more of those assignable spaces, your offices, your cubicles, those spaces that you would put people into, hotel spaces, other areas like that. But even fewer are even tracking those shared spaces. Maybe you've got technical spaces, you've got collaborative spaces like conference rooms and other areas. 39% of organizations came from Jones Lang LaSalle. 39% track open and collaborative spaces. 13% track technical spaces. So very few are tracking their technical spaces within an organization. More companies are embracing mobility. I think even ServiceNow themselves, you guys are seeing more of this mobility programs, this flex work environments where you're allowing multiple people to share a space, or you're working from home. And you're going to see this trend only continue. So more and more people are going to come and go within the organization in terms of that flex work environment. More people are going to be working from home offices and remote. So that's the trend we're seeing. So around in 2017, 41% had a mobility program. It's already jumped to 52% here in 2018. So over 10% increase. I think you're going to see a similar trend going into 2019 because, like I said, the trend is continuing. And now organizations have to figure out, what do we do with all these buildings, all this space that we either own or we lease out, in terms of all that unused or underutilized space. Do we consolidate buildings? Do we do we lease out some of the space to another organization, right? So there's a lot of decision-making processes as we move more toward a mobile work environment and even remote work environment for organizations. All right, now for the fun stuff. So what we're going to dive into now is actually the technical integration between ServiceNow's HR product and Nivolo's Space and Move solution to be able to manage that new employee, that onboarding experience, and walk you through the entire life cycle of how that actually works. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into that. Again, as we go into this, feel free, continue to post questions. Again, if you're on YouTube, post those questions. Or if you're on the ServiceNow community, post those questions, and we'll be moderating that as we go. So here we are. I'm coming in. I'm a hiring manager, and I actually am ready to go ahead and request hiring a new employee for my team. So let's actually walk through this. So right now I'm looking at ServiceNow's HR module. Let's go into ServiceNow's HR catalog. Let's go ahead and onboard my new employee. So we'll go ahead and search for our onboarding request, and we'll go ahead and fill this out. So let's go ahead and fill this out. I'm gonna go ahead and fill out, I'll go ahead and onboard Jeff Hill today. So we just have to fill out a few pieces of information. We'll just fill out the critical things today. So we're gonna go ahead and onboard Jeff tomorrow on the 16th. He's gonna be our customer service manager. He works in customer support. He's full-time. He's a full-time office-based worker. I'll be his manager since I'm a hiring manager. He's in Santa Clara. And we'll go ahead and we're going to go ahead and submit this in. Now, what this is going to do is kick off all the needed tasks. This is ServiceNow's HR product kicking off all the tasks needed to onboard this employee. We talked about all that, and you saw that one slide with that hospital that had 9 different departments that had to be involved in onboarding that employee. What we've done right now is gone ahead and triggered those tasks for those 9 departments. So what we've gone ahead here, and we can actually see this new employee process. So Jeff Hill is my new hire. I'm the hiring manager. We're going to go ahead and look at the tasks down below here that need to be completed. Now you'll notice there's a new space request task. Now this is Nivolo tying in. So Nivolo's product is actually hooked right into the ServiceNow HR module. And what's great about this is I literally can come in and choose where do I want to place Jeff within the organization? Where do I want to have him sit within the organization? So what we're going to do now is it pulls up an interactive map. It shows me, since I chose Santa Clara as the office that Jeff's going to work out of in that original submission screen, I see the Santa Clara offices, and then I get to pick that Santa Clara building. What floor am I going to put Jeff on? Well, I'm going to put Jeff on the 2nd floor. So I'll go ahead and bring this up. Now, this is Nivolo's floor mapping and space planning application that's, again, certified native to ServiceNow. So here we are. We actually have an AutoCAD floor plan that we brought in using Nivolo's AutoCAD import capabilities. So let's actually look at my floor. I can see in green the spaces that are available. Yellow are the spaces that are committed. So for example, I have 100 people coming in, they're committed to be hired, they're in yellow, they haven't started yet. And the ones in red are already committed. Somebody's already sitting there, they're occupying those spaces. So let's go ahead and I'm actually gonna put Jeff right here. I'm actually gonna have him sit right in this location. You'll notice all those location details filled out. I literally saw the floor, I saw the room I wanna put him, and it auto-populates those location details. And this location hierarchy, again, is right in ServiceNow with Nivolo's facilities module. We'll go ahead and complete this. This is going ahead and submits this in. We'll go ahead and take a look at that request now. You'll notice that where I select on that floor gives me a nice little image of the floor plan. I can see where I picked on the floor. And now we're ready to go ahead and submit this for the person that approves that request as the hiring manager to actually review and approve that this is okay. So we'll go ahead and open this approval. Now this approval went ahead and notified me on my mobile as well. Well, for the sake of time, we'll just quickly approve this as the director for this department. And now we'll go ahead and we'll see this is approved and ready to go. So this request is in, it's approved, and now we're ready to take on the next steps. So what we're doing now is I'm going to change roles for a moment, and I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to be the space planner that sits within the facilities department, because I actually want to plan for these onboardings of new employees within the organization. So let's go ahead and let's actually take a look at our space planner. So now you'll notice I'm in ServiceNow. Nivola, we're also certified on the latest version. We're on Madrid right here. So let's go ahead and look at so you'll see Nivola has a plan move module. Within the plan move module, I'm going to go ahead and open up my move planner. Now, as a move planner, and that's my role within the organization, I can actually see all the new hires that have been submitted in. Hey, look, there's Jeff Hill. Jeff already is in here. That was approved. So now Jeff showed up as someone that I need to decide when is he going to get onboarded into the organization. What's great is I can actually see the dates associated with this as well. So see Jeff set up for the 16th. We can actually drag and drop Jeff right onto that date. Now you'll notice these little icons down here. These are all the services that you as an organization can provide to Jeff, whether it be space cleaning, network setup, maybe getting him a badge. I see Michelle also. Let's go ahead and bring her in as well. I see that she needs some other items. Maybe the room needs to get painted and patched. I'll go ahead and bring Bonnie in, but we're going to set Bonnie up for the 21st. So Bonnie right here, she's got reconfiguring her office. These services are automatically going to cut tasks to the appropriate teams within ServiceNow. So for example, Bonnie, I see she has a network connection set up. Well, I can actually decide when does this actually get done. So I could actually set Bonnie up right here, we're going to do the network connection setup on the 23rd. We're going to go ahead and reconfigure her office right over here as well. So we'll set her up for both of those services. So we're going to do a number of services the first day and a number of services the second day. What's great about this is I can actually literally drag and drop what items I want, when do I want them, on the dates I want them, and it basically schedules it. It gives you that ability to schedule those steps as part of bringing that employee on. The whole goal here is I want to make it a very simple experience that when Jeff joins for the first day, when he joins tomorrow, we already have all of those tasks cut to the appropriate teams and tickets created for that, and the work performed. So when Jeff joins the organization, he has everything set up and ready to go on his first day on the job. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and actually commit this. Now what this does, it locks this plan in. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this. I can add any comments I want. In this case, we're good to go. We'll go ahead and submit this in. And now this is going to go ahead and lock in Jeff's plan. And now Jeff's gone ahead and he's committed to the program. He's ready to go. So what we can do is we can go ahead and toggle back now, and let's actually look at the state of Jeff's onboarding process. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Jeff has going on here. So we'll come in now. We're actually going to look at that onboarding request. So let's go ahead and do that right here. So now you'll notice all those services that we chose. I'll just go ahead and toggle back over really quick. So Jeff had space cleaning, network setup, and employee access control. So he had 3 things that needed to be prepared. You notice that all of these items auto-triggered a task associated with bringing Jeff into the organization. So now Jeff's experience, so there's a ticket over to IT, there's a ticket to security, there's a ticket to facilities to take care of each of these components to now address and get these ready to go before Jeff's first day on the job. What I'm going to do now is we're going to really wrap up that specific area within the onboarding process and the demonstration I wanted to show today. I do want to mention just a couple last things before we wrap up the session today. Again, post those questions if you have any in there. They'll be available. We will be following up on those as well after the session today. Just know, with Nivolo, again, we're a certified scoped application built on ServiceNow. We actually cover 5 main facilities areas within a facilities business. You guys saw part of our space and move solution today as it relates to integrating and tying in with ServiceNow's HR module. But we also have our maintenance management application. We have our space and move we covered, the capital program and project management for your construction projects. Real estate and lease allows you to track your leases, and sustainability allows you to track your energy and waste within an organization, your electricity and all your usage of that. So Nivola, we cover that full facilities workplace management suite. I'll cover, and certainly reach out to me, Ben Pearson, ben.pearson@nivolo.com. Also, you can reach out to us at our contact information right here. I'll leave this on the screen. I'll pause for a second and see if there's any last questions as we go. But otherwise, we'll wrap up the session today, and appreciate everyone joining today. Hopefully this is an educational session, and looking forward, as you're looking to roll out HR to your organization, certainly tying that facility solution in is certainly a benefit when you think about that process automation and reducing costs for your organization. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.